6 yesterday. Isn't he over the age of 6 now? Yeah, I guess so. As long as your child reaches at least their 6th birthday, you can't lose the deduction. Now, there's certain steps you need to take, but when I'm going to give you a way to get this a little later on. But home business texting is made easy. It gives you the step-by-step instructions for how to go about hiring your children to make sure you cannot possibly lose the deduction. Now, here's the better part. The money you pay them is tax deductible to you. The income is tax-free to them. A child, a minor, can earn up to $5,800 this year tax-free. That's more than $100 a week. Now, you may not have $100 a week worth of work to give to your children, but potentially you could. The money you pay them is tax deductible to you. The money they earn from you is tax-free to them. They don't need to file a tax return if their total earnings are under $5,800. That means no taxes are ever paid on that money. So what are you going to do with that money? Well, you got to run your business like a business. So how does a business owner, how does an employer pay employees? Not with cash, with check, right? Well, what's a 7-year-old going to do with a check? Or a 17-year-old for that matter. Because you've got to be 18 in this country in order to have a checking account, or a savings account, or a money market account, or investment account. Any financial instrument, lawyers would call it. You've got to be at least 18. So what do you do? You open a custodial account where you're the custodian. So now you open let's say it's a savings account. You open a savings account in your child's name where you're the custodian. So you're the only person who can make deposits or withdrawals from it until they turn 18. So the child does the work, you write them a check, you go to the bank with them, you deposit the money, you withdraw anything you want to give them as to spend, but what happens to the rest of that money? The courts have ruled that money earned by the child from a custodial parent can be used for anything that benefits the child except room and board. That could be a savings account that could be a place to park tax-free money for college education. It could be money that's used to help pay for tutors or private tuition, books and supplies, educational summer camps. I mean, backpacks, socks, and underwear. Anything that benefits the child except room and board. So you still control use of the money. Meanwhile, that child is learning something by working for mom and dad. And that is, as an employee, I've only got 2 ways to make more money. And both of them require permission of my employer. One is to work harder. So I can work more hours and to make more money, if my employer agrees. Or I can perform a job that's performed to be more valuable, that's perceived to be more valuable by my employer. See, they learn along the way that employees are never paid what they're worth. They're paid what the job is worth. So if they want to make more money, they can work harder if mom and dad agree. Or they can change from what they're doing now to something perceived to be more valuable to make more money. But those are the only 2 ways they can make more money. Meanwhile, mom and dad, who tells them how much money they can earn? In this business, is there a limit on how much you can earn? Do you have to go to Glenn and ask permission if you want to make more money? No. So at a very young age, they're learning, without you even needing to tell them, the value of being self-employed. You're showing them the restrictions that are on employees and the freedom that you have when you're self-employed. I could talk for an hour on the great benefits of hiring your children in a home-based business, but unfortunately we're running short on time. So let me move on to number 4. These are no particular order, by the way, but these are the top 6. So we talked about your business use of your home, using your vehicle for your business, hiring your kids. Now the fourth one I'd like to talk about is writing off healthcare expenses. Out-of-pocket healthcare expenses. Those expenses are not reimbursed to you by your insurance company. That'd be your premiums, your annual deductibles, co-pays, and all those things that aren't covered. Sometimes chiropractic or alternative therapies, or aromatherapy, or acupuncture. There are all kinds of things that aren't covered. Those are all the generic term for that is out-of-pocket healthcare expenses. For most taxpayers, it's difficult to get a tax deduction for that. You can do it, but they've got to jump through 2 hoops. First of all, they've got to file Schedule A, which is the schedule of itemized returns. You've got to itemize your tax deductions in order to get the deduction, because that's the only place you can get the deductions on Schedule A. Secondly, there's a threshold you've got to meet. Right now, it's 7.5%. It's going to 10% in January. What that means, let's say as of January, is if your adjusted gross income, your taxable income, is $50,000, for example. 10% of $50,000 is $5,000, right? So the threshold was 10%. So your out-of-pocket medical expenses, the first $5,000 are still your problem. You can only deduct what's above and beyond that 10% threshold. But with a home-based business, you can write off 100% of it. And it's not a Schedule A deduction, it's a Schedule C deduction. It's a business expense, and here's how it works. There are actually 3 ways of doing it, but here's the easy way, just for the purpose of brevity. You hire your spouse in your home-based business. The tax code requires your spouse to work a minimum of 100 hours a year in order to qualify as a legitimate employee. That's only 2 hours a week. So you hire your spouse to work in your business. Now you're the employer, and your spouse is an employee, right? Can employers give employees employee benefits? Yeah. So you give your employee, who's your spouse, a benefit called a medical reimbursement plan. Tax pros will sometimes call it a Section 105 plan. Because it's Section 105 of the tax code that authorizes this. You hire your spouse, you give your spouse a medical reimbursement plan, and in plain English, what this plan, it's a legal document, but what this plan says is as long as you're working for me, you're the employer, talking to your employee, as long as you're working for me, I'll reimburse you for all out-of-pocket health care expenses that you incur for yourself or members or any members of your immediate family. Now, who else is in your spouse's immediate family? You and the kids. You just now made every single penny of out-of-pocket health care expenses from your entire family tax deductible as a business expense. And there is no threshold. There's also ways to work if you're single, or ways to work if you and your spouse are partners in the business. The last 2 I want to mention very quickly are business travel and business entertainment. I throw those in there because business travel became complex several years ago when business travelers started. It's more common now than ever before for business travelers to go on a business trip a little early or stay a little late to sightsee, visit family or friends, whatever. So they're combining business with pleasure. And for a while that was kind of fuzzy. What's deductible? Well, now the rules are crystal clear. It's very easy to plan a trip. If you're coming to Phoenix for a meeting and you want to come a couple of days early, stay a couple of days late, sightsee, visit family or friends, or just relax, it's now very easy for you to be able to plan that trip in advance in a way that's 100% tax deductible because the rules are so clear. I spell the rules out in the book. I'm sorry to have to keep referring back to the book, but in the 45 minutes I got, I can't. All I can do is expose you to what's possible. The last of the top 6 is business entertainment. This applies a lot to home-based businesses because I saw some presenters this morning talking about having home meetings in homes. For the most part, since the 70s, business entertainment has been deductible at only 50%. That has not changed. However, there's now a regulation that says that when you're entertaining in your own home, the money you spend on food and beverage for that entertainment is 100% deductible. So if I want to take Glenn out to lunch, I can write off 50% of the cost of our lunch. Actually, why don't you take me out to lunch? And then you can write off 50%. Or Glenn can invite me to come into his home and feed me and wine me and dine me in his home, and it's 100% deductible. That might just apply as a home-based business owner, right? So think about that. Those are the top 6. Now, how can you learn what those top 6 are? What's the easiest way to do it? Here's what I'd like to, before I go on to the next topic, the last topic, is how can you learn what you need to know to slash your own taxes to the legal minimum, but you want to learn them in a way that's easy. Nobody wants to study taxes, right? Except a nerd like me. People just want to save money in taxes. So how can you make it easy? How can you make it fast? What's the easiest, fastest way that you can learn this information you need to know about these top 6 tax deductions? How do you make sure that you understand it accurately? Now, you haven't gotten all the information this morning, but how do you get the rest of the information so that you're accurate and therefore making it safe? Safe meaning you don't have to worry if you're ever audited because you understand the deductions, you're keeping the right records, you're complying with the requirements. So the easiest way to do that is simply this. It's this book. I'm going to make these available to you later at a very attractive price. Home Business Taxing is Made Easy. This is the plain English guide to home business tax law. It really is a plain, very easy to read. It's written at about 8th or 9th grade level, because that's where the average person reads in America. But it's been reviewed by the IRS, and they didn't ask for a single change. You also, with that book, will get a copy of the audio book. This is 6 CDs on which I take you through the book chapter by chapter. So if you're somebody who commutes a lot to work or business trips, you can listen to it in your car, you can read it at home, listen to it while you're reading it. That's what happened here.